Hello everyone. So in this lecture we are going to study about the topic of ecosystem under the course environmental studies. So first of all, what is an ecosystem? So it's a natural unit consisting of all plants, animals and microorganisms in an area functioning together with all the non-living physical factors of the environment. So what do we mean by this definition? It says that all the living entities, be it plants, be it animals, microorganisms, in a certain area which is functioning together with non-living components. Now, what are these non-living components that has been talked about? These are air, water, soil, so on. Okay, so the living components and non-living components together form an ecosystem. Now, there has been a number of definitions that have been given on this term here. That is, an ecosystem is also a system that arises from the integration of all living and non-living factors of the environment. Another definition is that it is a self-sustained community of plants and animals existing in its own environment. And the last one says that ecosystem may be defined as a system resulting from the integration of all the living and non-living factors of the environment. So basically all the definitions point to the same thing, that it is a combination of the living entities and the non-living entities which are important for the survival of organisms in an environment, and hence it is called an ecosystem. Now there can be many types of ecosystems depending upon where the organisms are living. It can be a desert ecosystem, it can be forest, ocean, grasslands, mountains and so on. Now ecosystem can also be further categorized into two types, that is natural and man-made ecosystem. Now what do you mean by natural ecosystem? So an ecosystem which is taken care of by the nature itself, like examples like terrestrial or aquatic. Okay, so in terrestrial we can talk about forests. So as you can easily understand that in forests the growth of a tree or the growth of a certain animal, it is all taken care of by the nature itself. It depends upon the external factors of the nature. Okay, what is the quality of air in the forest, right? What amount of food a certain organism is getting. So it is all controlled by nature. Other examples for the same are grasslands, deserts, etc. Now similarly we have another example here, that is aquatic. Okay, let me tell you, terrestrial is for the ecosystem that is found on the land. Okay, and aquatic is that is found in water. Okay, so examples for the same are marine ecosystem or freshwater ecosystem. Now what's the difference between these two? In marine ecosystem you can talk about seas, oceans, estuaries, etc. So all the large water bodies that sustain maybe plants, maybe sharks, fishes, all those sea animals. So together they form an aquatic ecosystem, or more specifically we can say marine ecosystem, right? And what do you mean by freshwater ecosystem? So this kind of ecosystem, they are generally found in ponds, lakes, rivers, streams, etc. Okay, so all of these examples, they are pointing towards small water bodies, right? And they are more or less near the residential areas where some human species is found, okay, for their own survival. So we humans, we are dependent upon ponds, lakes, rivers, etc. For our water needs, right? So that is why we also call it freshwater ecosystem, because these water bodies, they also give us drinkable water, fresh water. Okay, it doesn't have too high of salt content, so that is why it is also called fresh water. So these were some of the examples under natural ecosystem. And if we talk about man-made ecosystem, so an ecosystem that is set up and is taken care of by a human, that is called a man-made ecosystem. So for an example, we can talk about an aquarium. That's the best example to talk about. So a human controls that how much food it wants to give or pour into the aquarium that that person is controlling, right? So we are putting the amount of water into the aquarium, and we are controlling the number of plants there, because we are helping them grow by putting seeds into it and so on, right? So these type of ecosystems that are being controlled by, or that are being taken care of by the human, they are called as man-made ecosystem. Similarly, we can talk about crop fields. So in the crop fields also, it depends upon a human how much water he is giving to the crop for irrigation purpose, right? Then how many seeds he is throwing into the field so that he can get a certain amount of agricultural product at the end of a certain year, right? So all of these things, they come under man-made ecosystem. All right, now here also this is a flow chart that helps to understand uh, what kind of ecosystems we have. So it is divided into two categories, natural and man-made ecosystem. And natural ecosystem is further categorized into two, that is terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem, right? So these we have already discussed in the previous page. Then aquatic ecosystem, it is further divided into two categories, freshwater and marine ecosystem. This we have also discussed. And under freshwater ecosystem, we can talk about lentic ecosystem and lotic ecosystem. So what is a lentic ecosystem? So ecosystems that develop that they survive in static water. Static water means stagnant, that is not running. So the species, be it animal species, be it plant species, that are growing in the presence of a static water, or that are surviving in a static water, that is called lentic ecosystem. And those entities or those living bodies that are surviving in a running water, that belongs to lotic ecosystem, right? So this is just a classification based upon the running or not running water and so on. Now next we move on to the structure of an ecosystem, what it is composed of. Okay, so we have been discussing about the classification and all, we know about the terms related to them, but what actually is an ecosystem? What are the components there? So there are two components. First is living component, and the second is non-living component. So as we have discussed from the very beginning, that an ecosystem, it comprises of two entities. First is living and the other is non-living entity, right? Together they form an ecosystem. Now under living entity, under living components, what else do we find? We find producers, consumers, decomposers, right? And under non-living components, we have physical factors, chemical factors, and limiting factors. So we are going to discuss them in detail from now onwards. Okay, now what are producers? So producers are basically those organisms that can make their own food. Okay, they have the capability to make their own food. They don't depend on others. So for examples, we can discuss about green plants. We can discuss about some bacteria which are able to manufacture their own food, right? So these are called producers. So the organisms which are capable of producing their own food. And also we call them autotrophs. Why do we call them autotrophs? If we split this word autotroph into two parts, you get auto and troph, right? Auto means self, self means like on their own, right? And troph means producing. So if you combine these two words again, you get self-producing. So this is also a good word to remember what this producer actually mean, right? Next is consumers. What are consumers? So consumers are those animals which obtain their food from producers. So these animals, they don't have the capability to make their own food. They will always depend upon producers to obtain food, right? And there are further categories of consumers as well: primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. So this also we'll be discussing in the further few minutes. And what are decomposers? Decomposers are those organisms that help to decompose or break down the dead organic matter, right? We know that be it animal species, be it plant species, they ultimately die, right? So after their death, uh, all that dead organic matter, it decomposes under natural conditions only. But what are the organisms which are responsible for their breakdown? Those organisms, they are often called as detritus. Okay, we'll be reading this term later. Detritus, and moreover, collectively these are called decomposers. Fine. So they convert that dead organic matter into simpler parts. Okay, now we have abiotic components of an ecosystem. So now that we have done everything regarding biotic components, now we shift to the abiotic. Under this we have physical factors. So uh, broadly speaking, we have discussed that non-living components that are also abiotic components, they are generally air, water, soil, etc. But we can further categorize them based upon their physical nature or chemical action and so on. So physical factors, we can talk about rainfall. Okay, so the amount of rainfall that is observed in a certain area, it will control the growth and development of a certain species. Okay, how much sunlight they are receiving, how much sunlight a particular ecosystem is receiving, then what is the humidity, what is temperature in that ecosystem, what is the nature of soil, is it alkaline, is it acidic, is it even favorable for the crop to grow or any other plant species, then what is the nature of water currents. Okay, so all of these are physical factors. Next we switch on to the chemical factors. We can talk about salinity of water, as I've already discussed, that how much salt content is there in the water. So that also affects the growth of a certain species in an ecosystem. And then we have nutrients present in soil. What kind of nutrients are present in the soil, whether they are favorable for a certain crop or not, whether they are making that soil fertile or not, how much of oxygen is dissolved in water, what is the percentage of oxygen that is dissolved in water. Next, what is the percentage of water and air in soil. So all of these things, they come under the category of chemical factors, because now we are, we are quantizing it. Okay, we want to know that how much concentration of a certain chemical is there in the non-living component. Okay, next is limiting factors. Now what do you mean by limiting factors? Now we all know that without basic things like food, water, shelter, we cannot survive. Okay, even if we have each and everything perfect in an ecosystem, but we don't have enough shelter, maybe let us say there is a forest ecosystem. Okay, and there are some deers and lions in the forest. Now if the deer is not having protection, it is not having shelter to hide from the lion, ultimately that species may run out. Okay, it may get extinct. So these come under limiting factors. Okay, so next we are going to talk about these functions: food chain, food web, energy flow, ecological pyramids. Now what is a food chain? So basically it is as it is written here, below, the definition says that the transfer of food energy from the source through a series of organisms by repeated eating and being eaten up is referred to as food chain. So transfer of food energy from the source. Now what is the source here? Though it's written that plants is the source, it's okay. Plants is definitely a source, it is a producer, but sun plays a very important role in every food chain, because every food chain, it has to start from sun. How? See, plants need sunlight, okay, to manufacture food, right? through the process of photosynthesis and in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight and water, they make their food, right? So each and every food chain has to start from sun only, because if there is no sun, then the plants, they cannot make their own food. So sun plays a very important role in each and every food chain. It has to have come at the first position. Okay, so after that, now producers, they form the first trophic level. So as you can see in the figure, just above plants in the gray box, it's written first trophic level. So from where it starts from the producers. Then primary consumers, I think it's a caterpillar here. So the caterpillar is eating grass, so this is called consumer, and moreover it is primary consumer, okay, because it's the first consumer just after producers, and it's also labeled as second trophic level. Then we move on to from the caterpillar to the next level, next trophic level, and that is of secondary consumers. And here the secondary consumer is a bird. It can be a crow, okay, as shown here. So crow is eating caterpillar. And moving on further from the crow, we have a bigger bird. It can be an eagle, it can be a vulture, hawk, whatever it can be. Okay, so this is tertiary consumers, right? So tertiary consumers, they are often carnivores. Okay, carnivores are those organisms which can eat this grass also and other animals also, right? So that forms the fourth trophic level, right? So now you understand what are the trophic levels. Trophic levels, they basically start from producers, and then they succeed from first to second to third, fourth, and so on. And below you can see it's written detrivores. Now what are detrivores? Detrivores is a term given to those organisms which feed on dead organic matter. Now we know that animals also die, plants also die at the end of the day, so they are decomposed by some organisms, and those organisms are these small microorganisms shown in the below, which are also called as detrivores, right? And they have been shown in the form of an arrow coming from producers, that is plants, to detrivores. Okay, plants decaying and detrivores eating them, caterpillar decaying and detrivores eating them, then crow decaying and then the eagle decaying, and so on. Okay, and similarly we have the arrows above pointing from solar energy to the plants, to the herbivores, carnivores, and so on. And one more important thing in this figure is that at each and every trophic level, some heat is being lost. Okay, now what is this about? Now see, if a plant is making or let us say that a certain plant is having 100 joules of energy in it, right? Now when the caterpillar will feed on the plant, it will not receive 100 joules of energy from the plant. No, this is never the case. Only 10% of the energy is received from the source. Okay, so caterpillar will obtain maximum of 10% of the calories that are there in the plant, right? And the rest of the 90% of the energy or the calories, it gets lost. So that is what is meant by the heat here, right? So at each trophic level, you can see the energy being lost. Next is food web. So food web is basically the interlocking pattern formed by several food chains that are linked together. So as you can see in the figure, that if we start from the producers, as is shown below, starting from phytoplankton. So from phytoplankton, the food chain starts in the upward direction. So going to the left from phytoplankton, it is being eaten by krill. Then the krill is being eaten by either a fish, either some bird, either a penguin, or you can say a seal or a whale. So there are a number of ways in which the food chain progresses. Okay, and often these food chain, they get interlocked with each other. So basically in an ecosystem, there can never be a single food chain. No, that is not possible. There are various number of food chains, and they often interlock with each other, and that is meant by a food web, right? So this is again an example, a good example of a food chain, which also comprises of sun and decomposers, right? And now there are two types of food chain: detritus and grazing food chain. So this we will discuss here. Now, what is grazing food chain? So grazing food chain always start from plants. Okay, so as you can see in the figure, this food chain is starting from leaves, and the leaves are being eaten by caterpillar. Caterpillar is being eaten by a bird called thrush, and so on, right? So this is a grazing food chain which starts from the living entity, and that living entity is a plant. Now, what is a detritus food chain? Detritus food chain, it starts from dead organic matter. Okay, so when some species die, when some plant or animal dies, it becomes dead. It becomes dead organic matter. Then dead organic matter is fed upon by some, maybe a microorganism, which is referred to as primary detritus feeder here, and this is further eaten up by a secondary detritus feeder, and so on. So this is a grazing food chain. Okay, sorry, detritus food chain, I'm sorry. So the first one was grazing food chain, and the second one is detritus food chain. So these are some examples of producers, that are plants and vegetables, and definitely they need sunlight, as it has been shown in the reaction here. Okay, that plants make their food with the help of carbon dioxide and water, but in the presence of sunlight, and then it gets converted into sugar and oxygen. This is a very simple food chain which starts from sun. So this is very important thing to understand. It has been written in the form of note as well, that all food chains start with the sun, and ending up on the last slide here, that all food chains start with energy from the sun. So this was all about some topics under ecosystem, and now the next topics will be covered later. Thank you so much.